community. It's Sonia, your health promotion coordinator, and we're here today to make hummus. So hummus is traditionally made with garbanzo beans or chickpeas, but a lot of people tend to use different beans and make it their own. Today we're actually going to be using cannellini beans, so we're going to be making cannellini bean hummus. I personally love having hummus as a quick snack. Some people like to make it part of their main meal as using it on a spread in pitas or different sandwiches, but I think it tastes just as great with a bell pepper or some carrots or even some pretzels if you want a little bit more carbohydrates in your diet. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you through our ingredients. To start off, we're gonna be making everything in our bullet. So we have our large canister here, the blade, and then the actual bullet machine. If you have a food processor, you can make it in there, or if you have a blender, you can blend it up in there. Really, you just need to make sure you really grind everything in and blend the ingredients. So whatever works for you, use. Next, we have our cannellini beans. Obviously, they're the star of this recipe because it's cannellini bean hummus. It's really simple. We only have about like 4 ingredients total that go into this. I already went ahead and pre-washed and rinsed and strained my cannellini beans. If you are using canned beans, even if you choose the low sodium option, please make sure to rinse it in a colander just to make sure that you get any excess sodium or like juices from the canning process off. If you want to go ahead and use dried beans and cook them yourself and then turn that into hummus, by all means go for it, but out of convenience, I used canned. Then I'm gonna use the juice of 1 lime. If you were to use a lemon, I'd recommend using the juice of half a lemon, but the lime is pretty small, so we're just gonna use that. I always use 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. These are pretty large cloves, so I'm okay with 2. And I don't like a strong garlic flavor in this case in my hummus. I like it a little bit more mild. So I'm gonna aim on the side of 2, but if you are someone that likes your hummus strong and garlicky, by all means, you can choose to use 3. I'm then gonna use a dash of pepper. Again, I have it in my grinder, so I'm gonna eyeball that, and the same with the sea salt. I will be using olive oil, and then since I don't have tahini, I know this sounds a little crazy, I will be using peanut butter. Tahini is actually crushed up sesame or ground sesame. I don't have tahini, but the peanut butter will act as the binding agent the same way the tahini acts in hummus. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Before we actually begin, I will go ahead and wash my hands for a minimum of 20 seconds, making sure that I scrub underneath my fingernails, around my wrists, and in between my fingers. So I'll see you when we're ready to start making the hummus. Okay, so we're back. I washed my hands. To start off, I'm gonna take the container of my bullet and just start off by putting in my cannellini beans. So that way they're in there. I actually really like hummus. I think it is a great snack. It has a decent amount of protein to it just because you are eating beans. So for anyone who is a vegetarian, beans are a great way to sneak in some of those extra nutrients that you might not be getting from your meat products. This was a 15-ounce can of cannellini beans. By all means, you can go ahead and make more. You just would double the recipe. And then beans are very high in fiber, so that's really important for GI health and your digestive health. All right, next we're gonna start off by cutting our garlic. Okay, so to cut the garlic, I'm just gonna cut off the end. And then we don't have to actually really mince the garlic because the bullet is gonna do that for us. We just need to get the peel off. Garlic, so hummus is a food that is traditionally found in the Mediterranean and Middle Eastern countries. And so garlic always tends to be a staple in those countries and their dishes as well. I could do a little bit of a better job peeling this garlic right now. The skin, it's really sticky, so sometimes the skin really sticks to it. All right, and we're just gonna go ahead and add this in our bullet, and I will repeat the process with the second clove. When you buy garlic, you can go ahead and buy minced garlic, but I always like to buy fresh garlic, so that way I'm dealing with the cloves. I buy a head of garlic and I mince it myself if I need, or in this case, I just stuck it straight in the bullet. Okay, so it's time to cut our lime and to juice it. So I'm just gonna cut it in half. I normally keep my limes in the fridge, but right before I use it, I take it out to keep it at room temperature, just so that way the juices will begin to flow and they haven't like frozen or gotten too cold in the fridge. So if you have a juicer, you can go ahead and just, actually it's a citrus juicer, you can just twist it over there and get the juice going. Or you can choose to use a fork and kind of squeeze it out like this. So one of the perks about limes, obviously they're high in vitamin C, so they help boost immune health. But I really like them because I'd say 99.9% of the time, they don't have pits in them, and so you don't have to worry about pits falling in your food and you trying to fish out a pit. For anyone that's ever dealt with lemons, I feel like some of them are loaded with pits, and gosh, getting those out if one falls into your food is literally a full-time job. Quite the process. These limes are pretty juicy. Woohoo. Limes are also really inexpensive, and so you can buy quite a few. I think, honestly, I probably spent like 50 cents, and I bought more than one lime. So, and then sometimes when they're on sale, that's even better. A lot of times I've noticed they're on sale during the summer when people are making more lighter foods. Lime does have a bit of a lighter texture to it, and it gives things that tropical island taste, which people always enjoy in the summer. All right, and now we're gonna squeeze the other half of our lime. A good way to know if a lime is gonna be juicy is to get one that's a thinner skinned. Your thicker skinned limes, I mean, you'll definitely be able to get some juice out of them, but you'll just have to work a lot harder. With citrus in general, the thinner the skin, the more juicier it tends to be. That's just kind of a rule of thumb. And if you get any of the pulp in here, that's completely fine. It'll all get pulsed together anyway, so. All right. So we squeezed our lime in. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands just because I kind of have lime all over them and I don't want it to get sticky and everywhere else. Okay, so time to add in our seasonings. I'm gonna use pepper. Some people actually really like cayenne pepper with cannellini beans. One of the differences between cannellini and garbanzo beans is that cannellini beans don't have as strong a flavor, or I guess as nutty a flavor. They're a lot smoother. They will blend nicer too. Garbanzo beans, sometimes you have to really blend them a couple times just because they're harder. But so it'll really absorb the flavor of whatever you put in as seasoning, and so you can make it kind of a Southwest style bean dip. I'm just using pepper to keep it simple. All right. And then I will put in just a dash of sea salt. So now I'm gonna pour in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Depending on the beans that you are using, you may need more olive oil to just add that liquid consistency, and you may need to add some olive oil as you go in the recipe too. But I am going to start off with 2 tablespoons. And pour that in. And then I am also gonna add 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Again, I mentioned peanut butter is going to replace tahini here. If you have tahini, by all means, use that. That's the first choice. But peanut butter will act as that binding agent. So tahini can be a little pricey. Peanut butter is definitely a more affordable option, especially if you don't plan on making hummus on a regular basis. If you're just trying it once, or if you only have it like every so often. You might not want to spend the money on tahini. So as long as you don't have a nut allergy, by all means go ahead and use your peanut butter. All right, so I've got to get out my tablespoon of peanut butter. Normally I just eyeball it, but for this I will actually measure it and put it in here for you to see as a visual. The nice thing about putting it in the same spoon that had the olive oil is that it'll come out very nicely. It won't slide, or it won't get stuck. So if you just watch it, it should pop right out. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put everything away, and then I'll show you how we blend it up. All right, so we have everything in here, and now we're gonna go ahead and just put the blade on, screw it on tightly, put it on the right way so that way it's actually sealed. All right, and then we're gonna plug in the bullet. And we're gonna blend. It might get a little loud here. So kind of a little bit or halfway through, I do shake it around to mix it up again. You can even unscrew it and use a spoon to mix it up. Okay, so I'm just kind of pushing it off the sides. With the bullet, because you tip it upside down to blend it, sometimes you do need to clean off the blade a little bit to get everything off there so that way it can move freely. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mix it up one more time. All right, so one more blend. All right, and it's thoroughly blended now. That's what it looks like. All right, so then I'm just gonna grab a container. I always like using Pyrex or something that comes with its own lid, so that way I don't have to use saran wrap or plastic wrap. And you're just gonna take your spoon that you used earlier to scoop out your hummus. So I will be eating these today with some bell peppers that I will go ahead and show you how to cut them as soon as I finish pouring this out. Okay, so we have our hummus. This is it in the bowl. And now we're gonna go ahead and prep our peppers. I went ahead, I'm using a red bell pepper and a yellow bell pepper. I already washed them. You can kind of see some of the water droplets on them still. Whenever you're using fresh produce, please make sure that you wash. You just wash it in general so that way you prevent ingesting any extra germs. I mean, everyone touches the bell pepper because they're all looking to try to pick the best one. So it's just good practice to wash your fresh produce before consuming. And it also helps remove if there is any dirt or just debris from transit or from the growing process. Okay, so to start off, I always cut off the top, and in doing so, I just kind of cut around the stem. I try to cut as close to the stem as possible, so that way I still get a good chunk of the pepper. And then I wiggle around the stem. Now, bell peppers have seeds in them. Unlike jalapeno peppers, the seeds are not the hottest part, and so, I mean, obviously you don't want to be touching your face, but it's not like if you touch your eyes, you're gonna end up burning. All right, so then I'm gonna take the pepper and cut it in half. And so here's 1/2 of the pepper. You can see there's still some seeds left in there. They should be pretty easy to just tap out. Make sure you have a cutting board or a paper towel underneath. And then if you see the white pieces, those are the veins. You can honestly just pull them out and they come out. Those are a little bitter, so I recommend removing them, considering the fact that bell peppers are very sweet, especially your red bell pepper. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it into slices. I feel like slices are the best way to eat bell pepper when you want to dip it into something, so hummus or any dip for that matter. And so this should be the size of your slice. I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting the slices of bell pepper and I'll show you our final product. Okay, so here's our finished product. We have our cannellini bean hummus, which is a great source of fiber and some protein. We have our vegetables, which are our peppers. You could add more vegetables. You could even add orange bell peppers and green bell peppers. This is just what I'm using because that's what I have. Fun fact about bell peppers. The green through the red bell pepper, they're actually the same pepper. It's just how mature they are. So a red bell pepper is going to be your most mature, your most sweet pepper. Then you move down to orange, yellow, and then green bell peppers. For anyone that's ever eaten a green bell pepper, you can probably relate to this. It's pretty plain. It doesn't really have its own taste. It absorbs the taste of things around it, so the other flavors of the food that it's in. So in this case, it would absorb the taste of the garlic in the hummus. I always like to have hummus as a snack kind of midday right before lunch, but after breakfast, I think it's a great alternative and it's a nice healthy option for anyone looking to improve their heart health or just overall well-being. And so we do have quite some color, and then you also get your carbohydrates from your vegetables too. So you will get a little bit of energy to get you through the day there. All right, well, that's our hummus video. It's pretty quick, it's simple, it's easy. The nice thing about hummus is that it's really affordable. If you go buy hummus at the store, it can cost anywhere between $3 to $4 if not on sale. And you also end up with a lot of extra ingredients in it. Ours is really simple. It costs maximum $2 with the peppers included. And so it's also really affordable, making it a budget-friendly, heart-healthy meal. Make sure to tag us if you go ahead and try this recipe, or even if you alter the type of bean that you use or the seasonings. If so, tag us at UND Wellness to be featured in one of our posts. See you next time. Bye!